Okay, this video is instructional art video. I'm going to show you how I will paint this little wren, which I've already drawn out, on a 10 by 10 inch canvas panel in acrylics, but trying to make it look a little bit more like an oil painting. So making acrylics look and behave like oils. So the first thing I'm going to do is to give the whole thing a coat of burnt sienna. Now just spray the canvas lightly with some water just to make the paint move about a bit easier. Now this particular style is going to be Deconstructed Realism, so it's all about having fun with the brush strokes or the marks that you make on the canvas. The only detail I'm going to be putting in are little areas of the bird where I want the viewer's eye to concentrate. So the rest is going to be impressionistic, abstract expressionism. It's not necessary to put in the details of anything else. Right, okay, so that's that done. We'll just clean the brush. Don't want the paint to go hard on the brush, so that's that. Now what I'm going to do is let that dry completely. So in order to do that, I'm going to speed the process up a little bit. What we can do while the paint is still a little wet here and there is get a tissue and just start to wipe off. Those little areas that you see pulling through, it doesn't matter about those. They just add to the interest later on. Not created a nice, clean, smooth background tone. It's all random, which creates interest again as we apply different layers over the top. So just now with a smaller brush, I'm just going to use black and white again in this first stage. Black and white it creates the underpainting, so I'm just affirming where the important areas are going to be. So and it's going to be on a wooden stump. an old wooden stump. Right, now we have that, we'll just seal it. And with my trusty fan brush, which is getting extremely worn now, I'm going to try and find a new one, and I don't think they make them anymore, sadly. We're going to give it a little spray of water again to make the paint run around easier. Now in this bottom area I want this to be quite dark here. We're going to it's going to be a dark, generally dark background, but the bird is going to stand out then more. Okay, I'm going to use the scraping tool just to move a few of these things around a bit. And while that's wet in the bottom, as I usually scratch in my name at this point. I find it easier and more convenient at this stage than painting it on later. All the subsequent layers that will go on over the top of that will seal that in. Now using gesso white, we'll start adding a few lighter areas. We've got some, we're going to have mosses here. So we shall move this about a bit again. Remember, we're doing Expressionism and Impressionism here, so we can be really loose with this. Let's get a little bit of that white up there. And it doesn't matter if we come over the bird at all. I think while we've got that, we will also get some on the painting knife. And start to drag this about. It's brilliant for this randomness feature that we're trying to get here. Nature is random, so paint randomly. You can scratch and scrape into this. It's wonderful. Need a little bit more light there. Okay, clean that off with a smaller brush now. Hang on, let's just clean that. A very slightly smaller flat brush, this sort of size. I'm just going to start laying in where I think a few of those highlights are going to be. Well, we'll get a grey tone first, so black and white, that's all we're doing. That's going to be a reflected light there. That's going to be the bright bit. We've got some light there and some light there. Now we have a lot more light here, so we've got a bit brighter. Same with that little stripe there above the eye. Now we can come in a bit darker. And we're going even darker still. We've got this, which goes almost black into, it will under the wing, and then carry on through that there. Have a little dark there. We do go slightly darker here, just to make that stand out from the wing at the back. We'll get some of that white, a little bit of white, and just same with this here. Just an impression of the striations on the feathers just there. Need to come in a little bit brighter just here. Right. Start adding a few almost moss-like, just by letting the brush do the work. Like that. Now we'll just need to pull this over a minute while I put where the there's always a little line around the eyes. I will reaffirm that in a minute. That has gone a little bit too light there. Yeah, that's not so bad. Well, we have a grey, a mid-tone grey. I'm just going to pop these legs back in. That just goes there and then gets lost in darkness. And then this one starts to pick up. And right, let's just reaffirm that eye. It's looks a bit angry. We can't have an angry wren, can we? So we'll make him a little bit more rounded. Like that. Right, now where we have the darker grey, I'm just going to lay in a few like so. Right. Now what I want to do is just let that dry. So I'm going to force that to dry with the hairdryer now. Right, that is now dry. So now I'm going to reaffirm the darks and the lights and just start to add a little bit of detail where I want the detail. So first of all, I know I want to have dark here, and then we can blend that into that. That's going to be dark there. Same with around here. And around there. We can bring a little bit of darkness into that. Again, with the lights. And then the scraper. Oh, it's not a scraper, it's a painting tool really, I suppose. We can come over the top of that, it doesn't really matter so much there. Same with that. Oh, let's get this out of my mouth and you can see what I'm doing. See, I'm just moving the paint around and generally having fun. Isn't that what painting's all about? You've got to have fun with it or else it's not worth doing. Right, let's get the old painting knife back into the frame again. Just lightly dragging it over certain areas. I think it just needs a little bit of something here. There we go. Scratch and scrape into it again. Just needs a little bit more light here. That. There we go. Right, okay. Clean that. Get the other brush for doing the bird. Now we need to get some of those whites. We're still using gesso white and black. So. Okay. Right, get the black again. move the paint with your finger. It's a great tool. Fingers are great tools. It's just like painting when you're a child. Just moving the paint around with your fingers and get covered in it. Don't worry about getting covered in paint. You're an artist. Artists get covered in paint. That's what we do. Okay, we just need to lighten that area a bit, so that it stands out against that background. You see, where you've got dark, you should have light, and where you've got light, you should have dark. And we'll go into that later on, because you should also have cool and warm. Just had a few little ruffled feathers there. Let's reaffirm those little leggies. And get some light areas in there as well. Right, now then, let's get a bit of a darker grey here, and just put a little bit in the eye, which is going to be a little bit of reflected colour there. Now, with a little bit of pure white, tiny little drop, we just add where the highlight's going to be, like that. So it makes the bird come alive. Whoop. I'm not as steady as I used to be. Right, we'll get the same little drop just for doing right. That is the end of the underpainting stage. So again, we'll force that to dry. Whoops, while it's drying, because we need it to cool down as well. I should state that when you're doing an underpainting stage, we're going to be glazing the colour over the top. So once you've got the colour on, it's very difficult to make changes. So this is the point in which you need to make changes. Do I need to have something else of interest somewhere else? Space is nice to have, blank space, and then interest. It all depends on your composition. But the beauty of painting in black and white, to start with, is that you can alter things, move things around very, very easily. Just paint over it. Now, it doesn't have to be black and white. The old masters used to use umber and white, raw umber and white, and also burnt umber, and in some cases they would use a red and white background. Anyway, black and white is very good. It's very easy to apply paint over the top of this, and it makes for a faster painting style. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll get on with the colour. Okay, this has had time to dry now. it's had about 10 minutes. But that is dry to the touch. Now then, what we're going to do, get another brush about this sort of size, spray some water on it, and then with the acrylic gel, the acrylic retarder, I'm going to paint over the entire thing. If you've seen any of my other videos, you'll recognise this stage. Apply it quite liberally. This will allow the paint to dry slower. And pick up a little bit of Monestial blue, I think. What is it? This is phthalo blue. So, a bit too much of it. Doesn't matter if you put on too much, you can move it around. We'll add a little blue in there, and there. Right. Okay, we've got that. Might put a bit in there actually. Right, clean that off and get some burnt sienna. And again, if you pick some paint up on your brush, try and put a little bit of the gel retarder in it. I'm just going to waft this over here just to create a feeling of wood. And while we've got the same colour, we can apply a little bit more to the bird. Some also to the bird, I should say. Just wipe it away from that white. There's a slight hint there, so just go over that lightly. This is picking up a little bit of the colour underneath. And again, what I've said in the past, if you've got colour somewhere on the bird, then you should apply it somewhere else, just to harmonise the painting. Right. So now we've got that, we shall get a smaller brush now. Now this one is my white Accoya synthetic Jackson's brush, and we'll just get some white, a little bit of the gel retarder in it. And while that is nice and wet, you can move it around. Now I need to get some nice bright yellow. So this is transparent orange. It's a lovely colour, especially when mixed a little bit of white. It creates a beautiful, beautiful yellow. So we're going to apply this to certain areas. Add a little bit of the white in there as well, so that when we use this, it all starts to flow in with each other. Beautiful. Right, now clean the brush, because we need to start bringing some of that black in. So a little bit of gel retarder, a little bit of the black. So there, definitely there, some there. This is shadow area. So So I think what we'll do is we'll bring that down like that. Makes it look like a hollow log of some kind. We'll bring some of this up. Okay, now we move it about again. Sorry, I must stop putting this brush in my mouth because I think it blocks the view. Just needs to bring some black into there. What we can do is we can also use the painting knife. This is a little bit too bright here, I just want to darken this area. That's better. And then clean that and pick up a little bit of that white and transparent orange. And just I think we'll bring some cadmium orange into play, just to warm certain areas up a little bit, and also bring some into the wood. Now with a slightly smaller brush for the bird, we need to get some of that cadmium orange in there where the light's hitting it. We can also have a little bit of that green in there, so the cadmium yellow, no, the transparent yellow and the phthalo blue, a little bit of the retarder. And what we'll do is just, oops, daisy, got a bit of black on there, just bring a hint of that as a reflected light into the bird from here. I'm going to clean this brush. See, the paint is still wet. It's beautifully wet, and will stay wet probably for a good 20 minutes or so while I work into it. So with a smaller brush now, let's get some of this white, pure white, because there are some very white areas I want to just bring out. Like so. Right, and cadmium orange with a little bit of white. We'll just lighten that area up a bit. There we go. I think we can afford to put a bit of cadmium red in with the cadmium orange, just in certain places. It's not orange enough. Now, is it abstract enough? Is it abstract enough? Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I don't think it is. So, this is why it's called Deconstructed Realism. I'm going to get some white and some of that Menestial blue and some alizarin crimson. Just mix it together. A little bit more of the crimson. And what I'm going to do is just pick some of that up on the scraper, and I just need to decide where. Black in there. Right, a bit more of the black here. You can go on and on and on with this, doing this again and again and again, over it, over it, over it, until you are satisfied with the final result. So what I'm going to do with a clean scraper now, I'm going to move some of this into the bird. Because it's too detailed, I don't want it too detailed. That's better. I like that much better. It's how you are with it at the end of the day, if you're satisfied with it. I think. Yeah. Let's pick up some of that orange again, and alright, let's move that around. We'll have some over here. Get some black on there. That's better. Much better. I think also we'll blend this get some black again. Okay, right, so we now just want to put a little bit of colour into the beak with a little bit of the orange, just to warm it up a little bit, and white, because it's not white, the beak isn't white. Okay, now a little bit of that burnt sienna I'm just going to apply a little bit under here, just to warm the lower part of the eye a little bit. Now that eye needs to be quite accurate, so I've just gone over it a little bit there, so like that. And with a little bit of the pure white now, I can just bring out where I think the light is going to hit it best. Like so. We can add a little bit of detail here and here. Right, one thing left to do, and that's the little leggies. Now we've got this red here, so I'm going to use the red just to come over the top of that there, and the orange to come over this bit here. And a little bit of highlight. That just needs to be a little bit more defined. And there we go. I'm happy with that. That's the painting finished. And that's a little wren on a wooden stump in Deconstructed Realism. You know, it's not finished. I've just spotted something I want to do with a little bit of the white over the top. Just warm the white up a little bit. I just want to drag those down a little bit. That brings it a little bit more to life. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and possibly learned something. I look forward to any comments or questions below that I may be able to help you with, or if you have any suggestions as to what you would like to see in my forthcoming videos. If you have enjoyed this video, then please click the like button and the little bell icon to be notified of my latest video releases. It would also support me greatly if you could subscribe to my channel, please, by clicking on the subscribe button. If you want to view some of the paintings I currently have for sale, then please click the link below. In the meantime, I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and happy painting!